The first time Jason saw the little girl in the diner, she was crying over a broken silver locket, one exactly like the one his mother had buried with. But when he looked closer, he realized two terrifying truths. The child had his eyes, and the woman comforting her was the same woman who had vanished from his life 3 years ago, after he'd told her he never wanted kids. If you are new here, then please subscribe this channel and show thumbs up by liking the video. Now let's move to this wonderful story. The rain fell in steady sheets against the diner window, blurring the neon sign that read Maggie's in glowing pink letters. Liam Carter stared at his reflection in the glass, adjusting the cufflinks he always wore but never noticed. Tonight, for the first time in years, he'd dismissed his driver. The board meeting had left a sour taste in his mouth, and the thought of returning to his empty penthouse made his chest tighten. Inside, the diner hummed with quiet conversations and the sizzle of burgers on the grill. Liam slid into a corner booth, the vinyl seat creaking under his weight. He'd just lifted the menu when a sound cut through the noise. A child's hiccuping sob, raw and unfiltered. Near the counter, a little girl with chestnut curls sat cross-legged on the floor. Her tiny hands clutched something shiny, her shoulders shaking with each quiet cry. Something about her, the way she wiped her nose with her sleeve, the determined set of her jaw between whimpers, made Liam's breath catch. Before he could think, he was crouching beside her. "Hey there," he said, keeping his voice soft. "That's a pretty serious face for someone so small." The girl looked up, revealing eyes the exact shade of stormy blue as his own. "My chain broke," she whispered, opening her palm to show a silver locket with an intricate floral design. "Mommy says it's special." Liam's fingers trembled as he took it. He knew this locket, the tiny scratch near the clasp, the way the hinge stuck slightly. He'd memorized every detail when he was 8. It was his mother's, given to him after she died, the one he'd lost years ago during a business trip. "Where did—" he started, but a woman's voice interrupted. "Emma? Sweetheart, I told you to wait by the—" The words died as she froze mid-step. Flour dusted her apron, and a pencil stuck haphazardly through her messy bun. Sophie Bennett, the artist he'd met at a gallery opening 4 years ago. The one who'd vanished after their whirlwind month together without so much as a note. For 3 heartbeats, no one moved. Then Emma scrambled up, holding out the broken locket. "Mommy, the nice man can fix it." Sophie's throat worked as she swallowed. "Liam." His name came out strangled. He stood slowly, the locket burning in his palm. "You kept it." "I tried to return it," she whispered. "But then—" Emma tugged Liam's sleeve. "Mommy says it's magic. It belonged to my daddy." She tilted her head. "Do you know him?" The diner's noise faded to a dull roar. Liam's gaze flicked between Emma's curious eyes and Sophie's panicked ones. The math was simple. Emma's age, those unmistakable Carter eyes, the locket he'd given Sophie the night before she disappeared. His voice barely made it past his lips. "Is she mine?" Sophie's silence was louder than any answer. Behind them, a plate shattered in the kitchen. Emma gasped, pressing closer to Liam's side as if she'd known him forever. The locket's chain pooled between his fingers, catching the light like a question mark. Somewhere, a coffee machine hissed. A truck honked outside. The world kept turning, but Liam felt the ground shift under his feet. In this ordinary diner, between the smell of grease and the hum of the refrigerator, his carefully controlled life had just cracked open. Sophie reached for Emma, her fingers brushing Liam's wrist in the process. A spark of warmth, fleeting, but undeniable. "We should go," she murmured. But Emma didn't move. She stared up at Liam with those clear blue eyes and asked the simplest, most devastating question. "Are you my daddy?" The truth hung in the air between them, fragile as the broken chain in Liam's hand. Outside, the rain slowed to a drizzle. Somewhere beyond the diner's fogged-up windows, the city lights blurred into streaks of gold, just like the future, that had suddenly irrevocably changed. The apartment smelled of crayons and burnt toast. Liam stood awkwardly near a sofa buried under stuffed animals, watching Emma carefully arrange plastic dinosaurs on the coffee table. She lined them up by size, her tongue poking out in concentration, a habit he remembered from his own childhood. She likes them in order, Sophie said quietly, handing him a chipped mug of tea. Just like someone else I knew. Liam wrapped his hands around the warm ceramic. 4 years. 4 birthdays, 4 Christmases, countless ordinary days he'd missed. The weight of it pressed against his ribs as Emma held up a brachiosaurus. This one's the daddy dinosaur, she announced. He protects all the others. The lump in Liam's throat grew heavier. He crouched beside her. What about the mommy dinosaur? Emma pointed to a stegosaurus. She's right here. They got lost but then found each other again. She beamed, unaware how her words twisted in Liam's chest. Sophie cleared her throat. Emma, why don't you show Mr. Carter your drawings? As Emma scampered off, Liam turned to Sophie. Why didn't you tell me? She sank into a worn armchair, her fingers tracing a stain on the fabric. I tried. The day I found out I was pregnant, I went to your office. Her voice grew tight. Your Uncle Gregory intercepted me. He said you were in the middle of the Tokyo merger, that a baby would ruin everything you'd worked for. Liam's grip tightened on the mug. Gregory had been his father's right-hand man, the one who'd steered the company after the accident. He had no right. He showed me photos, Sophie interrupted. You at charity galas with socialites, boarding private jets, he said. She swallowed hard. He said you'd already moved on. The mug clattered as Liam set it down too hard. You believed him? I was scared. 24, pregnant, and suddenly alone. Her eyes flickered toward Emma's room. Then she was born with your eyes, your stubborn chin. By the time I worked up the courage to try again, you were on the cover of Forbes, worlds apart. Liam's pulse roared in his ears. He crossed to the fridge where dozens of Emma's drawings hung under fruit-shaped magnets. One stood out. 3 stick figures, the middle one small with yellow scribbles for hair. The left figure had a frowning face. The right side was empty. She asked about you last year, Sophie said behind him. Started noticing other kids had daddies. I didn't know what to say. A tiny hand slipped into Liam's. Emma held up a crayon drawing of a man in a suit standing beside a little girl. That's you, she said matter-of-factly. I made you tall. Something warm and fragile unfurled in Liam's chest. He took the drawing with reverent fingers. It's perfect. Emma grinned, then dashed off to retrieve more artwork. Liam turned to Sophie. I want to be part of her life. It's not that simple, Sophie whispered. Your world will adjust, he finished firmly. The next morning, Liam arrived with a child-sized bicycle, the training wheels gleaming in the sunlight. Emma's shriek of joy echoed through the apartment hallway. For 2 golden hours, he jogged beside her as she pedaled unsteadily, her laughter like music. But as he helped her remove the helmet, his phone buzzed. Gregory's name flashed across the screen 12 times. Liam silenced it, but not before Emma saw. Are you in trouble? She asked, her small brow furrowing. No, Peanut, he lied, smoothing her hair. Just grown-up stuff. That afternoon, the storm broke. Liam's assistant called as he drove back to the office. A gossip site had published an explosive story. Tech Titan's secret love child. Grainy photos showed him pushing Emma on a swing. The worst part? A source close to the family claimed DNA tests proved he wasn't the father. Liam's vision went white at the edges. He barely registered crashing his fist into the wall, the pain radiating up his arm. Gregory's doing, no question. His phone lit up with Sophie's number. Liam, her voice trembled. Reporters are outside our building. Emma's terrified. I'll send security, don't let anyone— There's more, she interrupted. I just got a job offer in Paris. The art director saw my portfolio online. The words hung between them, heavy with meaning. Paris meant safety, anonymity, a fresh start away from prying cameras and cruel headlines. Don't go, Liam pleaded, staring at Emma's drawing taped to his dashboard. Let me fix this. How? Sophie's voice broke. You can't stop the world from— A Small voice piped up in the background. Mommy? Is Daddy coming back? In that moment, Liam made his choice. Tell Emma yes, he said, starting the engine. And tell Gregory he's about to learn what happens when you mess with my family. The park bench dug into Liam's back as he watched Emma chase Bubbles across the grass. Her giggles floated on the evening air, mixing with the distant hum of traffic. 3 weeks had passed since the scandal broke, and though he'd hired security, the weight of constant vigilance sat heavy on his shoulders. She's forgotten already, Sophie murmured beside him, her fingers twisting the strap of her purse. Kids bounce back so fast. Liam wasn't so sure. He'd noticed how Emma now checked every window before playing, how her small hand clutched his, a little tighter when strangers passed. The realization made his stomach clench. He'd brought this chaos into their lives. Paris, he said abruptly. When do you leave? Sophie stiffened. The gallery wants me next month. But Liam, I haven't. It's a good opportunity, he forced out. Safe. A bubble landed on Emma's nose, making her squeal. Liam's chest ached watching her. He'd memorized these moments, the way her curls bounced when she ran, how she always stuck out her tongue when concentrating, storing them up like treasures before they were torn away. You'd really let us go? Sophie's voice was barely audible. The question hung between them. Liam opened his mouth, but Emma's sudden wail cut through the air. She tripped over her own feet, tumbling onto the grass. They both jumped up, but Liam got there first, scooping her into his arms. My brave girl, he murmured, brushing dirt from her skinned knee. Shall we make it better? Emma sniffled, nodding. Liam pressed his lips to the scrape, just as his mother had done for him decades ago. All better? You missed a spot, Emma said seriously, pointing to another invisible wound near her elbow. Liam dutifully kissed that too, earning a giggle. Sophie watched them, something unreadable in her eyes. She never lets me do that anymore. Says she's too big. I'm 4.5, Emma announced, wriggling down to resume her game. The moment shattered as Liam's phone buzzed. Gregory again. He silenced it with a growl. He won't stop, Sophie observed. Your uncle. No, Liam admitted. But I know how to make him. The shadows lengthened as they walked back to the parking lot. Emma, swinging between them. Halfway there, she suddenly stopped, her small face crumpling. I forgot Mr. Bunny, she wailed, pointing back toward the bench where her stuffed rabbit lay abandoned. I'll get him, Liam said, jogging back. When he turned, rabbit in hand, his blood ran cold. The bench area stood empty. No Sophie, no Emma, just a scattering of bubbles drifting over the grass. Emma, he called, panic rising. Sophie? A high-pitched scream split the air. Liam ran toward it, his heart hammering against his ribs. Past the playground around the duck pond, then he saw them. Sophie knelt on the path, her face white as a reporter shoved a microphone in her face. Emma clung to her neck, sobbing. Back off, Liam roared, inserting himself between them. The reporter, a slick-haired man with hungry eyes, barely flinched. Just a few questions, Mr. Carter. Is it true you're paying the mother to... Liam saw, red. He grabbed the man's collar, his voice dangerously quiet. If you or any of your vultures come near my family again, I'll bury you in lawsuits so deep you'll never see daylight. He shoved the man backward. Now get out. As the reporter scurried away, Liam turned to find Emma staring at him with wide, frightened eyes. His anger dissolved instantly. Hey, Peanut, he whispered, holding out Mr. Bunny. Look who I found. But Emma didn't take the toy. She buried her face in Sophie's shoulder, her tiny body trembling. I want to go home, she whimpered. That night, Liam paced his penthouse like a caged animal. Gregory's latest email glowed on his laptop, a demand to attend next week's board meeting or risk losing his voting shares. The ultimatum was clear. Choose the company or the child. His phone buzzed. Sophie's name appeared with a photo attachment. Emma asleep, tear tracks still visible on her cheeks. The text read, She had a nightmare. Asked if you were gone like, Her drawings. Liam's breath caught. Emma's picture from weeks ago flashed in his mind. The empty space where a father should have been. He knew then what he had to do. At dawn, he arrived at Sophie's apartment with dark circles under his eyes and a folder in his hands. "Read this," he said, thrusting it at her. Sophie blinked at the legal documents. "You're selling your shares?" "Every last one," Liam said hoarsely. "The buyers already agreed. Gregory won't control me anymore." Sophie's hands shook as she flipped through the pages. "This is your life's work." "No," Liam corrected gently. "It was my father's. I'm done living his dream." He glanced toward Emma's room. "I want to be there, for school plays, bedtime stories, skinned knees, all of it." Sophie's eyes glistened. "What if it's not enough? What if—" A small voice interrupted them. "Daddy?" Emma stood in the hallway, rubbing sleep from her eyes. The word, so simple, so enormous, hung in the air. Liam dropped to his knees, arms open. Emma ran into them without hesitation. "I dreamed you went away," she whispered into his neck. Liam held her tight, breathing in the scent of strawberry shampoo. "Not gonna happen, Peanut." Over Emma's shoulder, he met Sophie's gaze. "I'm not going anywhere." Outside, the first rays of sunlight broke through the curtains, painting the trio in golden light. For the first time in years, Liam felt something unclench in his chest, the quiet certainty that he'd finally made the right choice. The smell of fresh sawdust filled the backyard as Liam wiped sweat from his brow. The treehouse, his 2-month labor of love, stood nearly complete, its crooked roof and lopsided windows giving it character. He'd refused all help from contractors, determined to build this himself, just as he was learning to rebuild his life. "Daddy, the cookies are ready." Emma's voice carried through the open kitchen window. At 6 years old now, her words tumbled out with boundless energy, each one a melody Liam would never tire of hearing. He dusted off his jeans and entered the house, where flour coated every surface like snow. Sophie stood at the counter, her hair escaping its messy bun as she wrestled with icing bags. Emma perched on a stool, her tongue poking out in concentration as she decorated star-shaped cookies with reckless enthusiasm. "Look," she held up a misshapen cookie smothered in blue icing. "It's Saturn. See the rings?" Liam kissed her flour-dusted forehead. "The best Saturn I've ever seen." His fingers brushed Sophie's as he stole a cookie, that familiar spark still there after all this time. The doorbell rang. Emma slid off her stool with a thud. "I'll get it." Sophie caught Liam's arm. "Are you sure about this?" He nodded, watching Emma drag a stool to peek through the peephole. "She deserves the whole family." The door opened to reveal Gregory Carter, his usual crisp suit replaced by casual slacks, a gift-wrapped box clutched in his hands. Emma beamed. "Uncle Greg, you came." Gregory's stern expression softened as Emma dragged him inside. He handed her the package. For the birthday girl, Emma tore open the wrapping to reveal a miniature telescope. "Wow, now I can see Jupiter for real." She threw her arms around Gregory's waist in a fierce hug. The older man stiffened, then awkwardly patted her back. Liam watched his uncle's face as Emma babbled about constellations. The cold businessman who'd once called children distractions now had cookie icing smeared on his sleeve and didn't seem to mind. "The board voted to reinstate you," Gregory muttered to Liam as Emma demonstrated her telescope to Sophie. "Turns out our investors prefer your leadership." Liam shook his head. "I'm done with that life." He pulled a business card from his pocket, his new startup's logo featuring a smiling cartoon rocket. "Education tech for kids, we're developing planetarium apps." Gregory studied the card, then glanced at Emma, who was now sticking star stickers on Sophie's cheeks. "She changed you." "She saved me," Liam corrected softly. The party spilled into the backyard, where Emma's friends chased each other around the new treehouse as twilight painted the sky purple. The children gathered around the telescope, their awed whispers floating on the warm breeze. Liam found Sophie leaning against the porch railing, watching the chaos with quiet contentment. "Remember when you said our worlds were too different?" he murmured, slipping an arm around her waist. She leaned into him. "I was wrong. You built a bridge between them." Inside, Emma's laughter rang out as Gregory, of all people, helped her adjust the telescope's lens. The sight made Liam's chest tighten. This messy, imperfect, beautiful life was everything he never knew he wanted. Later, after the last guest left and Emma lay asleep surrounded by new toys, Liam and Sophie sat on the treehouse deck, legs dangling over the edge. The stars shone brighter here, away from the city lights. "Paris called again," Sophie said suddenly. "They offered me a permanent position." Liam's breath caught. "Will you take it?" She turned to face him, moonlight catching the silver streaks in her hair. "Only if you both come with me. Emma's been begging to see the Eiffel Tower." The relief hit him like a wave. He pulled her close, their foreheads touching. "Anywhere," he whispered. Below them, the back door creaked open. Emma padded, out in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes. "I had a dream we went to space," she announced sleepily. Liam climbed down and scooped her up. "Maybe one day, Peanut. For now, how about Paris?" Emma's eyes widened. "For real?" At their nods, she squealed and threw her arms around both their necks. "Best family ever." As they carried her inside, Liam caught sight of the drawing Emma had made that morning. 3 stick figures holding hands beneath ASCII full of stars. It hung proudly on their fridge, a simple testament to the extraordinary journey that had brought them here. In the quiet of the house, with Emma's steady breathing from her room and Sophie's hand warm in his, Liam realized something profound. The man who'd once measured success in stock prices and acquisitions now treasured different numbers. 1 goodnight kiss, 2 whispered, "I love yous," and 3 hearts beating as one. The compass locket, now repaired and hanging above Emma's bed, caught the moonlight as it swung gently. Its engraved message seemed to glow in the dark. "Follow your heart." At long last, Liam finally had